This was something that I touched upon back in 2024 when we were looking for the Paladin Straight music video. And Drag Path in that day and age existed only in the form that exists in the Clancy Digital Remains, in a sort of hidden lyric sheet with a lot of the lyrics sort of obscured or crossed out. But even then, there was sort of a connection, and the lyrics were very similar, right? I mean, the lyrics in the final song are expanding upon what we see there, but the sort of sentiment was the same. This idea of a drag path of evidence hidden so you can find me. And at that point, we were looking for the Paladin Straight music video. So I thought, okay, maybe there's connection here. Drag Path is the clue towards finding that music video, which seems to be hidden. But recently, there's some interest in this idea, in this connection between No Chances and Drag Path has resurfaced. Because, again, at the time, when we were looking for the Paladin Straight music video, I noticed a number of connections between the level of concern live stream scavenger hunt, images that we saw there, like this image right here, and another one that seemed to line up with some visuals from Paladin Straight, ways in which it seemed to tie into that hunt for that music video. And one of the connections was this image from the live stream that seemed to relate to No Chances, which could seem to relate to Drag Path. And so there's this connection between No Chances and Drag Path that I touched upon there and hinted at. But recently, there seems to be a bit more interest in exploring what exactly that connection is, especially now that we have Drag Path in its fullness. In a lot of ways, I see No Chances as something that foreshadows Drag Path and parallels it in a lot of ways. And so because of that, I wanted to kind of pull up and look at a couple of lyrics here from the song No Chances and talk through how I think it relates to what we see in Drag Path and how it sort of foreshadows that. Not so much in the first verse, but in a sense, we can see this in the chorus, right? This idea of, we've got people on the way, we want you home in one piece, we're looking for you, we're trying to find you. Right? Obviously, in Drag Path, we have the sentiment of, can you find me? Please hurry, please find me. I've laid out evidence so you can find and come and save me. And so in No Chances, the chorus at least seems to sort of respond to that. Now, before we go any further, I should sort of discuss this one aspect of this song, No Chances, because a lot of people have the interpretation, not ill-founded interpretation either, that the entire song is sung from the perspective of the bishops. I sort of disagree. I think that No Chances really is a conversation, sort of competing voices speaking to Clancy. On the one hand, we very much do have the bishop speaking to him. We come for you, no chances, so on. But then in the chorus, this idea, it sort of gets less ominous, and the sort of idea of the banditos also speaking to him. Sort of the two voices. We got the bishops threatening him, and the banditos promising him, we've got people on the way, we want you home, we don't want the dead bodies of the glorious God anymore, we want you to be alive and to make it out. And then the verses almost seem to be Clancy's voice coming through as well. So it's like this sort of three-part, three-person conversation going on throughout that song. So anyway, leaving that aside, all that is to say, I don't think the entirety of the song is from the bishop's perspective, and that is important because I think the choruses are from the banditos speaking to Clancy in response sort of to Drag Path and saying, we've got people on the way, we are looking for you, we will find you. But then this second, so obviously, again, we got the refrain from the bishops, and then this second verse, I think, is where we really start to see some interesting connections. And this was something that I touched upon when looking for Paladin Straight, but very much ties into a lot of what Drag Path is talking about. How did you get the location? Put together pieces. They say they sell the information in the terms of agreement. We spent some weekends on the grind. Surveillances outside. We see when you arrive, ride or die. So there's this idea of surveillance, certainly, which ties in a lot to that level of concern live stream and the Skeleton IC era as a whole. And we also know this concept of surveillance to be something that shows up sort of in the Paladin Straight music video and also in the crime report, as it were, that is issued against Clancy in relation to the events of Heavy Dirty Soul. There's a reference made within that to surveillance voids. And then again, we see vultures circulating and surveying them in Paladin Straight. So it really seems like surveillances, this idea of surveillance, relates to vultures. But all in all, the second verse is sort of discussing and playing upon this theme of how did you get the location? I mean, it's sort of the central part of that second verse. How do you get the location? How do you put together these pieces, these clues, as laid out in Drag Path? Drag Path talks about and presents and informs you that there is evidence to be found so you can find me. So you can find Clancy and help to save him. Verse 2, perhaps, if it's coming from Clancy's perspective, sort of continues to play upon that theme, but again, foreshadowing Drag Path, foreshadowing the fact that you did find me, you did find Clancy, How did you do it? Did you put together the pieces that I laid out? Did you find the information by piecing all of this together in these hidden clues that I've spread throughout the DEMA.org website, through the letters, through the evidence, through the music videos, all of it? And so that, in short, really is the connection between No Chances and Drag Path. They both talk about this idea of hunting for something or someone specifically, putting together this information so that they can find that person and ultimately help them, right? Help them break free, save them from themselves. So that's sort of an expanded version of this idea, an expanded answer to this concept, to this question of how do No Chances and Drag Path relate to one another.